One of the main themes of Cowboy Bebop is the danger and tragedy of living in the past. Throughout the show, we see the terrible consequences of this happen time and time again to Spike, Jet, and Faye. Anything can trigger the traumas from old lovers, former comrades, to cryptic clues about their old selves. Out of the three, Jet was the one who handled it best. He moved on from his old lover after seeing her again and was also able to get revenge, although accidentally, on his former cop partner. Faye and Spike, not so much. But Faye still had more progress than Spike when she turned in her former lover to the police, whereas Spike is a man who cannot and does not want to change. As he said, he is living in a dream, his one eye clinging to his old life, so he confronts the people from his past whenever necessary, unable to look the other way and live his bounty hunting life in the present. This episode is different, however, for other than the past catching up to our favorite characters which they are trying to get away from, the message of the episode is the importance of holding on to the genuine connections that they have in their past, of finding somewhere where they belong. It can be an important person like Ed's father, or a place like Faye's old home. When I watched this episode for the first time, I remember being so moved at the start due to the emotional lessons that the episode was conveying, then being so shocked and devastated at the end because Ed and Ayn left the gang. Just when I thought I got the hang of how they write their stories, Cowboy Bebop shows this heartbreaking episode. The show added another sad yet realistic lesson. Every journey has an end. In hindsight, the writers did the right thing here, since the following two episodes are the darkest, most violent, and heartbreaking ones in the show, which would have been twice as devastating if Ed and Ayn were included in the crossfire. Throughout the series, Faye has had a few episodes wherein the focus was finding more about her past. In My Funny Valentine, she recalled the story of how she woke up from cryogenic sleep without remembering anything about herself. It was a tragic tale of love, death, and betrayal. At the end, she said that she doesn't know anything about her past anymore, which would be answered in the next Faye Valentine episode. In Speak Like a Child, one of the more emotional episodes in the show, more clues about Faye's past began to appear, particularly in a mysterious package that contained a videotape about Faye's young life before she got in the accident. Seeing her old self being carefree and happy made her think about herself and her current lifestyle. It began to invoke old memories and made her more curious, which brings us to the episode where it all culminated, Hard Luck Woman. In this episode, Faye was shown to be watching the tape again and finally got an idea when she noticed the peculiar merlion in the background. She wanted to find that place, to finally satisfy her curiosity about her previous life. After running away from her past for so long, she finally followed Spike and Jet's footsteps of facing their past head-on when it has caught up to them. With Spike, it was facing his old nemesis in the Syndicate to finally be free from their shadow, and with Jet, it was facing his old lover who broke his heart, accepting that she has moved on to a new person, finally looking forward to the future. It was different for Faye, however, since she doesn't have a past to look back to. All she has are fragmented memories which only brings more torture than clarity to her, hence the decision to go and find the places shown in the tape. In doing so, she happened to say one of the most important lines in the series for me.
自分の居場所を思い出したの。居場所？あんたも待ってる人がいるんだから、居場所があるんだから探していくといいわ。それが一番いいものなんだから。
I truly think that it's one of the best lines because it perfectly sums up the actions that the three adults have been doing throughout the show. Spike was holding on to the love and connection he has to Julia, longing for the day he gets to see her again. It is the same situation for Jet and Elisa. Even though it was not shown that he had any longing to see her before the Ganymede Elegy episode, Jet still had the clock that reminded him of her, meaning he has not or will not move on from that connection, no matter how painful it is. Now, we have Faye trying to return to a place where she once had a connection, hoping she can find something more about herself and her past, a place where she belongs. In doing these things, it won't take long until Ed realizes that she wants to do that too, which she did when she met her father again, remembering Faye's words to her. She has seen her Bebop friends struggle to find and regain those lost connections, which is why it was a no-brainer for her to leave the crew and join her father. Looking back, I was too caught up with the fun reunion of Ed and her father and the prospect of Faye finding her old home that I did not realize what was happening, that these events will bring a significant change to the Bebop crew. That is when I looked at the episode number and checked the title of the last 2 episodes, and I realized that all adventures must come to an end. The last few minutes of this episode were the saddest moments in the entire series for me, on par with the events of the finale. Those goodbyes were so quick and unexpected that I was not really sure that what's happening is I think what's happening until the screen went dark and showed a message on the bottom right. That's when it struck me that it was actually real, that Ed and Ayn left and it was not sure if Faye's coming back to the Bebop ship. I found it interesting that in this episode, before the 2-part finale, the events that happened to Ed and Faye were complete opposites. One was successful in finding a connection with their past, somewhere where they belong, while the other was not. Only the certainty that she has no connection left in her past life, no place to belong to, was the answer she got. It does not always have a happy ending. This is also one of the saddest scenes in the series for me, definitely in the top 5. And what made the scene hit more emotionally was the way it was written. Props to the amazing director and writers, because they really know how to tug the hearts of their viewers. When Faye started running up the hill, the scene switching from past to present, then the view of the house slowly showing, and then finally opening the gate, a bright white background signaling a hopeful reveal, only to unveil an empty patch of land with no sign of civilization except a dead fountain. That was such a well-written, albeit sad scene. When her face was shown, it looked terribly empty, like all the hope she had when she first received the videotape was lost. Now, it is clear that there is no place she belongs to, other than the Bebop ship, with Spike and Jet. It seems that at the end of this episode, everyone finally knew where they belong. Some will stay and some will go, and even though it is sad, that is fine, because that's life. I did not realize that the sadness was not done, however, because the last few minutes before the end were even more melancholic. Ed decided to follow Faye's advice and leave the Bebop crew to search for her father. I was caught off guard with that one, because when she gave the pinwheel to Spike, she was having a big smile while jumping around the ship. In hindsight, I realized that she was happy because she was planning to go somewhere where she belongs. But when the song started playing and Ayn got up, my heart dropped. I knew then what was happening when he looked back at Jet and the Bebop ship before joining Ed. It's like he knows that the ship is his home, but Ed has been his companion for a while and he knows he belongs with her. And with that, the 2 rays of sunshine on the Bebop ship were gone. I love how there is no dialogue between Spike and Jet when all that is happening, like they are too shocked and sad to talk. Instead, they drown their sorrows with eating. To further the poignancy of this scene, each plate was full of eggs, seemingly ready to accommodate dinner for everyone. It's the little details like these that amplifies the emotions of the scene, because Jet went to all that trouble of cooking dinner, but he didn't know that it was only him and Spike who would be eating that evening from then on. The most depressing part of this episode, however, is when Spike and Jet reached for the food from the others' plates and was just stuffing themselves non-stop, because it was their way of accepting that everyone is gone. There is nothing left to do except to not let the food go to waste. A subtle yet masterful storytelling by the director and writers. This is one of the best episodes of Cowboy Bebop, albeit the saddest. But that is what makes a show so great and genuine, for it can take you to all the spectrums of emotion. A true masterpiece.